Hi, good morning to you. This is Petrie with you live on TalkTV from the Talk Radio studios. Still taking your calls this morning about politics and how grubby it all is at the moment. And are you fed up with it? Or do you think that we in the media overdo it? I mean, it is grubby though, isn't it? And I suppose we've got to report on it, don't we? But do you think it's too much? Are you fed up with hearing about it? I'm fed up with hearing about it. I'm fed up with talking about it, to be honest. But there you go. The news is the news, isn't it? So do give me a call, 0344 499 1000. You can also text your messages. Got some great text messages this morning to 87222. Some of them I don't read out. I just enjoy reading them. They're really great. So please do get in touch this morning. But now, because it's 2 o'clock, this is what we do, isn't it? We go somewhere foreign and lovely, because turning up at the airports to do it is a disaster. So let's go to the United States of America and talk to Mary Anna Mancuso. Good morning to you.
Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. I hope you're well as well. Now, you're a political analyst and national do we say woman? Or person?
Yes.
We say woman. Good for you. Spokeswoman for Renew America. Well, of course, today is Independence Day. Congratulations. Happy Independence Day, July the 4th. What does it still mean to America?
Well, you know, it's been kind of a crazy few months, past couple of years here in America, as I'm sure you guys have noticed across the pond. And 4th of July this year, for some, is seeming extremely somber, while others are seeming that this is Independence Day at its finest. It really depends on where you fall politically on the ideological spectrum. So it really depends on where you are. I think that a good portion of American women here are not feeling very festive in Independence Day, given the Roe v. Wade overturning of the Supreme Court this past couple of weeks.
Yeah, it doesn't feel very independent, does it? I saw as well, I noticed that we might see Trump's getting ready to say he's going to run.
Well, you know, let me tell you about this. A lot of people ask me, I'm from southern Florida, and, you know, in Florida, we have hurricane season that comes through. And I've told everybody when asked if Donald Trump is going to run in 2024, it's a lot like a hurricane season. You know that it is expected, but it is never guaranteed. So we can't say that Donald Trump is for sure going to run in 2024. There are things that are pointing to yes. However, my magic 8-ball is saying outlook is hazy.
Oh, really? Do you think that's because he doesn't want to, or because the Republicans don't want him to?
Well, let's be honest. Trump doesn't want to lose again. No. He has such an ego, and the chance of him possibly losing and having to admit the fact that he lost again, I don't think he can handle that.
Yeah, but he didn't lose last time. I mean, where have you been? It was stolen from him.
It was not stolen. He lost fair and square, and President Joe Biden is the 46th President of the United States of America.
Yeah, no. Now, what is happening, though, with Joe Biden? I mean, the fallout from Roe v. Wade has been felt massively politically. Joe Biden trying to find another way around this. Concerns, of course, that the Supreme Court might go now, start looking at gay rights and gay marriage and all of those things turning. And Joe Biden is a liberal, really, isn't he? And how is he going to manage with this, and what's happening politically?
Really, anybody can tell right about now what the president is going to do. But what I can tell you is that there's an opportunity for Congress to codify Roe v. Wade into law. And it will be important if Democrats want to hold on control in Congress to get that done. Nevertheless, the president is definitely feeling the heat as he looks to midterms, because if he loses control, his party is currently in control of Congress. And if he loses that control, his last 2 years as president could be thorny at best.
And what does that mean in layman's terms? So if he loses control of Congress, he won't get anything through. Nothing will pass. Nothing will happen.
It's going to be so hard to get anything done. I mean, look, we have partisan gridlock, as I'm sure you guys have noticed. And from what I understand, you guys are suffering a bit of the same with the recent vote of no confidence that barely squeaked through for Boris Johnson. But when we look at Congress, if President Joe Biden loses control of Congress with his party and the Republicans take control, they're not going to let the president get anything done. And they're just going to continue to just hammer home the fact that president is a do-nothing. It's a lame duck presidency, and it's time to install a Republican into the White House, whether it's Donald Trump again or Ron DeSantis, who's the governor of Florida right now.
Do any of these politicians actually care a monkeys about running the country? or is it just about running each other down? Because we are so bored of it here. It's like they take great pleasure in attacking each other, but who is running the country? Who is doing the work? Why would the Republicans do that to stop the Democrats running the country?
Because the Republicans don't want to govern, and the Democrats want to just continue to say that they want to do policy change and they want to enact all of these things to happen. But the fact is that nobody's meeting in the middle. And when we were coming back from break, you were talking about being fatigued of politics, and I can tell you here in America, things aren't different. I am burnt out with politics. It is so sad. When I got into this field, to serve my country and to do right and to give a voice to people that didn't have a voice in politics. But it seems that nobody cares what anyone's saying anymore. All they want to do is sling mud and blame the other person instead of meeting in the middle and working across the aisle to put country over party.
I know, but when is this ever going to happen? I mean, you've got two of the major democracies now who seem to be more concerned with playing at politics and trying to outdo each other. And it is the people who democratically elected them or put them in opposition who are suffering because nothing is being done. We're not getting through the cost of living crisis. I know there's a major problem in America with that too. Mental health services, major issue in America and in the UK. I mean, there are so many problems, and yet these politicians who expect us to respect them and continue to vote for them are increasingly doing nothing.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. And the fact is, the way that we change this, specifically here in America, we change that by electing independent leaders. We elect people who are going to put country over party and who are going to listen to their constituents and do what is in their best interest, not what gets them ahead in the polls or raises them millions of dollars because they're willing to say whatever it takes. That is how we change the tide of this, is that we elect principled leaders who are willing to do that and put partisanship aside to get things done.
But do you not think that politics in itself leads to this sort of complacent arrogance that we see? That, in other words, power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. That even if you take an independent who seems to be brilliant and you put them in the White House, that they will soon, shortly enough, start playing the same games?
I think that there's an opportunity for us to do something different. We've been doing it this way for hundreds of years, and right now it's not working. And if that's not working, then it's time to try something different. You know, I hear a lot of my local friends and family bemoan the fact that Congress people are in office for far too long and that we need term limits. The president here has a term limit, and maybe it's time to set terms limits on Congress. But one thing I remind them is that we don't have to pass legislation for term limits. We can vote them out every chance we get. The problem is that people don't show up to vote when it matters the most. And when it matters the most is your primary elections and in the general election.
Look, I mean, Hollywood can't be persuaded to try a new actor, let alone American politics be persuaded to try a left-of-field president. I mean, you know, they're all remakes, and it's the same in Washington. They're all remake presidents. You know, none of them seem to be particularly new or interesting or young. I mean, you know, President Obama being the absolutely glaringly different person.
Well, and that's the thing. And I've said this from the jump. President Obama, after he won and termed out after 2 terms, the Democrats didn't have another person to bring up through the ranks.
Yeah, that's
why you started to see the recycling of candidates. And the Republicans are doing the same. They're putting their hope and stock in Ron DeSantis right now. And they're looking at Trump, and everybody's trying to figure out what Trump is doing. And then you have some people trying to be super bravado and say, it doesn't matter what he's doing, I'm still going to run in the primary. But the fact is there's not an opportunity for people like another Barack Obama on the right or the left to emerge through the scene because they don't want it.
No, and I've always said this because of there isn't, you guys obviously don't have a royal family, we do, that actually the politicians become royals, okay? So, but there's a feeling for me with American politics that there's such a brick wall of money built around these potential candidates that it's just this sort of nasty little tiny spiral that is getting smaller and smaller because they don't want power to go outside of the core that is there. The trouble is the core is becoming ancient and there's nobody coming up underneath.
Well, they don't want people to come up underneath, right? They don't want new blood, because what happens is that takes away from their donor base, that takes away from their ability to have power.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You know, it's interesting because here in America, a lot of the things that the millennials bemoan about is the fact that boomers won't get out of the way in the job fields. Well, maybe it's time for the boomers to retire from Congress and let the millennials show them how to govern.
Well, listen, it would be a good thing, wouldn't it? Because I mean, in America, you've got to have the oldest potential presidents that I've seen anywhere.
Yes, it's time to recruit some new blood. Absolutely.
How do we do it, though? How do we get rid of them?
Well, we vote them out.
We vote them out. That's the only way.
People to run for office. That's how you do it. You encourage people to run for office. And look, I've always said that politics is local, and you have to start in your local offices, because when you're running for city council, you're running for state legislature, those are the people that eventually start running for our national offices like Congress, Senate, and the presidency. But they aren't cultivated because people don't feel like they have the ability. To your point, it's too much money. They don't have name ID. So we have to create a path forward. And by doing that, it begins with getting civically engaged and voting these people out and encouraging people that are leaders in your community to step up and run for office.
But what's in it for them? You know, when you look at politics and you look how corrupt it is and how ugly it is and how closed off it is to new faces, to new ideas, to new people. I mean, America's gone back 50 or 60 years just in the last month. You know, what is in it for somebody who is a good human being, who wants to do the right thing, who is a decent person? I think they'd run a mile from Washington, wouldn't they?
Yes, it's very difficult. Look, I cannot tell you and give you some like waxing of poeticness of how this is going to be so much better if you run for office, but we have to start somewhere. And we've seen landslide victories such as AOC, who has run. She has won, and no one thought she was going to win here in New York City, but she did, and she went to Congress, and she's making a difference. But then you have people like Madison Cawthorn, who were super young and ran for office, lost his primary because he became a total extremist and complete wackadoo. And, you know, at the end of the day, we have to cultivate independent leadership and people that are willing to stand up and fight and serve for their country. And the way that you do that is by encouraging them and getting people to turn out and vote for them.
It's interesting, though, isn't it? Because I mean, again, it's the same thing applies here. We're you know, we got the stale old two-party system, and you either vote one in, or more likely you vote the one that's in out. You don't really vote the one that's coming in. So you just get rid of the incumbent at the moment, rather than actually wanting the Labour Party in this instance. So we've got to encourage more people, but it seems like such a mountain. You know, I mean, I know way too much about politics to ever want to go into it, and I'm sure that that's the same for you, Mary. But how do you then encourage other people just through ignorance who might go, oh, it seems like a good job?
Well, I think that's a very interesting question. And I think it's a very interesting time to be asking this, as I am literally on the precipice of the 4th of July, where we are going to celebrate our independence from Britain. I hope you guys aren't still upset about that breakup.
No.
Okay, well, we're doing okay.
We're quite happy at the moment, given Roe v. Wade.
I have no doubt. Nevertheless, the one thing that I have found myself asking continually over these past few weeks is, what would our founding fathers do? And I was reminded that our founding fathers fought during a nascent early times of our country, and we came over and on top of everything. We overcame so many things, from the Revolutionary War to being able to found a Declaration of Independence and to write and ratify the Constitution. And when I look at today in 2022, I am finding the hope that they had, that we can move forward. But we can only do that, again, if we have principled leaders at the helm. And in order to do that, we have to vote out the extremists, and we have to term limit people that are no longer serving in the interest of the people.
It's just finding them and encouraging them to do it, isn't it? And what do you think, as we go into Independence Day for you guys, what do you think is the greatest thing America's achieved, and then the least great thing as you look back, even in just the last year? I won't ask you to go all over history.
Oh, gosh. I would say actually the greatest thing that America has achieved most recently is the election of Joe Biden. And a lot of people are probably going to clutch their pearls and be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that. But here, let me explain this to you. America was standing literally on the brink of authoritarianism here at home. because of Trump's presidency and the things that he was trying to do to our country, as witnessed by January 6th, which was one of the most abysmal things I've ever seen in my lifetime in America. And I think that that was absolutely an embarrassment. It was tragic, and it was absolutely awful. But when I look at the election of Joe Biden, what I saw is the ability for people to put aside their partisan ways and vote for him. Republicans for Joe Biden turned out and voted for him. And as a result of that, he won the presidency. And that, to me, is the ability of America's grit and ability to come together as one nation and elect a principled leader. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that everything Joe Biden does is fantastic, because there's plenty of things and policies that I completely disagree with him on. However, we came together when it mattered the most, and we ousted an authoritarian wannabe from our White House.
Yeah.
Now, when I think about the weakest point of America, it was literally as I watched people storm the Capitol on January 6th, give a playbook for the global stage on how easy it is to shake our democracy at our core. That was absolutely horrible to see happen. However, America will resolve. We are having the hearings right now. We are getting to the truth, and everybody will be held accountable.
It's fascinating stuff, and I wish you well on Independence Day, and I just hope that, along with Britain, that we can sort out the shambles that is our own politics as well. It's been an honour talking to you. Thank you so much. It's been a real pleasure. Mary Anna Mancuso there, political analyst and national spokeswoman for Renew America. Interesting, isn't it? Very, very similar problems, politically speaking, that we're going through. I'd like to ask you to give me a call. Are you fed up with all the politics, the stories? Are you just fed up with the way... I mean, you can see how I feel about it. I'm like Mary there. I just feel a bit sad at the state of our political classes at the moment. So it'd be good to hear from you. 0344 499 1000. Stay right here on Talk TV. There is much more to come.